On this, France 24's international affairs editor Kethevane Gorjestani joins me on set. Hi, Kethevane.
Hi.
So what do we know about the terms of this new draft proposal?
Well, it seems to be a sort of mix of the previous proposals that we've seen with new terms and is largely less favorable to Ukraine than the last version of this proposal. The main focus of the deal, of course, is how the U.S. would get access to Ukraine's resources, especially those mineral. And the idea of the deal, first of all, is that this access to Ukrainian minerals would be a way to repay the United States for the millions of dollars in military and financial aid that Ukraine has received since Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. Initially, in a previous version of this deal, there was this idea that Ukraine would have to contribute half of the revenue of its natural resources to this U.S.-controlled fund. Now, the version that apparently is in this draft, the U.S. would get all of the revenues from Ukraine's natural resources until the United States is repaid in full for the total amount of what it has spent to help Ukraine since 2022, plus 4% in annual interest. And then there is another part of that which sort of looks further ahead, which is that the U.S. would have a, quote, a right of first offer on any new project that involve Ukraine's mineral resources. So they would have first dibs, if you will, on those new projects. And the U.S. would also have a veto over Ukraine selling some of its natural resources to a third country. What hasn't changed in this new proposal is that the United States, at least from what we've seen, still does not give Ukraine what it desperately has been asking for, which is security guarantees for the future.
Doesn't sound like there's much interest for Ukraine, at least from a future perspective, in signing this deal. So how has Kyiv responded then so far?
Well, look, Volodymyr Zelensky has said that the framework has completely changed from what he has seen. He didn't quite address directly the elements because, as you said, he wanted to have his team actually review every element bit by bit. But he did give a few hints to where the Ukrainians are when it comes to this proposal. First of all, he has said many times in the past that he would not sell out the future of his country and his people for generations to come. Second, more direct to some of the elements that I've just mentioned, and that he has said that he refuses to recognize the aid that the U.S. has given to Ukraine as loans to be repaid, in a way indirectly responding to this idea that this fund would be going to the U.S. until it is repaid for what it has spent for Ukraine. The other interesting thing that Volodymyr Zelensky said was that he would not accept a deal that would jeopardize Ukraine's integration into the European Union. He didn't go into detail as to what that would entail, but I was mentioning the U.S. right of first offer and the veto on future Ukraine sales of natural resources. Would that technically possibly would go against the EU's fair competition and single market rules. And the Europeans have said that they're also, once this is final, are going to review those elements. So that might be where Volodymyr Zelensky was going by saying that he didn't want to jeopardize future EU accession. That said, he has been extremely careful in his words, saying that it was too early to give a final decision because they wanted to review everything. And when he was in Paris, he said, we don't want to leave the U.S. with the feeling that Ukraine is against it, i.e. the proposal in general. We don't want to send any single signals that would lead the United States to stop aid to Ukraine, because he knows what happened last month when he criticized the deal and refused to sign it. The United States halted military aid, halted sharing intelligence. They've since resumed it, but he knows that he has a very, very difficult balance to strike there. So he's treading extremely carefully and hoping probably to negotiate, not in public this time, in a private, and maybe with the help of the Europeans to sort of get a deal that might be a little bit more favorable to the Ukrainians.
Doesn't sound like the deadlock has been broken then, at least for now. Kethevane Gorjestani, thank you very much.